I give the floor to Ms. Lucky Karim, Executive Director of Refugee Women for Peace and Justice.
Thank you, Madam President, Excellencies, Member States, UN agencies, international organizations, civil society. I'm deeply honored today to be representing my community, along with my 3 other Rohingya colleagues here. In August 2017, on a Sunday evening at 4 p.m., 1 week before the Eid festival, when I was only 14 years old, my family and I were forced to flee my home in Rakhine State, Myanmar. We managed to cross the nearest border of Myanmar into Bangladesh. We collapsed on the ground in a field packed with thousands of other injured and terrified people. Within weeks, nearly 1 million people became refugees in the world's largest refugee camp in Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh. I lived there for 6 years, until December of 2022. The violence committed against us in 2017 was the culmination of a decades-long process of genocide, a process that continues to this day. Today, I want to discuss the condition faced by our people and share recommendations and requests I hear from my community. However, I also want us to recognize that there is a long road ahead. We know our goal to return to our homeland safely with rights. But how do we get there? We must carefully consider each step along that long road to fulfill our goal. We cannot shy away from asking hard questions about immediate, medium, and long-term needs. And we should be humble enough to recognize that we have not yet found the answers. But we Rohingya ourselves are best placed to find sustainable solutions for our future, with support from the international community. I first want to thank Bangladesh for initiating this conference. Every refugee is deeply grateful to the government of Bangladesh and its people for providing us with refuge. Thankfully, Rohingya voices were finally included in formal conversations about our own fate for the first time at a stakeholders dialogue in Cox's Bazar last month. The interim government has also shown openness to allowing greater self-resilience as we continue to shelter in the camps. But we have also suffered deeply in the dangerous and overcrowded camps because of restrictions on livelihood opportunities. We're largely dependent on food rations provided by the UN. A lost generations of Rohingya, people just like myself, have had zero formal education in the last 8 years. Our bamboo and trampoline shelters are in disrepair. Health services are barely enough to address the primary needs, though security has improved this year. Safety remains a major concern after forcibly recruiting hundreds of young people to support the military's fight against the Arkan army last year. The armed groups remain powerful in the camps, committing abductions, extortion, and satisfying Rohingya civil society. These conditions and conditions in Rakhine State have forced thousands of women and children to risk their lives by fleeing to neighboring countries like India, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand. In the hopes of better life, many died en route, while others faced arrests or pushbacks. Those lucky enough to arrive at their destination are not welcomed or recognized as refugees. And this was the situation even before massive decreases in humanitarian assistance. And tens of thousands more Rohingya people fled Rakhine State since the beginning of last year, bringing the camp population to 1.3 million people, more than half women and children. Earlier this year, I became the first resettled Rohingya to return back to the refugee camps in Bangladesh, and I returned again last month. The community members I met shared with me how aid cards are impacting them. Healthcare facilities have closed. Recent arrivals from Rakhine State must take shelters in families already cramped homes, and Rohingya volunteers have lost their jobs and the stipends that help them to meet their basic needs. Excellencies, almost the entire Rakhine State is now under control of the Arkan army. As my colleague Weweno has already described the ongoing abuses and security crisis faced by the Rohingya there, and humanitarian crisis is extremely dire. But the military's genocide against us has been systematic for decades. It is a process. Rohingya have been refugees to Bangladesh numerous times, even before 2017, and we keep going back and forth to Myanmar. And it has been never sustainable. A sustainable solution must be found within Rakhine State and within Myanmar. Excellencies, All of the refugees I spoke with on my recent trips to Bangladesh had a lot of questions about their lives. What might their future look like? When they can go back home? And it broke my heart to say goodbye without a clear answer. We know the ultimate solution to the Rohingya crisis. We need voluntarily safe and dignified repatriation to our homes in Myanmar. But how do we get there? I do not have all the answers, but I do want to pose some additional questions. How do we prepare for repatriation when people in Rakhine State are starving, suffering from the impacts of conflict, and are still trying to flee? How do we prepare for political solutions in Rakhine State if we do not have a counterpart willing to engage in conversations about our future? How do we prepare for peaceful coexistence with other communities in Rakhine State, given all of the trauma we have suffered? How can Rohingya build political power without a strong representative civil society when we have little authority to make decisions? And when most in Myanmar view our suffering as an afterthought amidst ongoing conflict across the country? How do we do any of these things if we do not have food to eat or shelters over our heads? Excellencies, amidst many competing crises, we are concerned that our plight will fall by the wayside. But based on what I have heard from Rohingya in Rakhine, recently arrived from Myanmar in the camps in Bangladesh, from diaspora, and from my own lived experience, the Rohingya community would like to play a leadership role in finding a solution for ourselves. We would like friends in the international community to play a supporting role for the more than 1 million refugees in the camps in Bangladesh. Donors and the host governments must ensure the basic rights and needs for refugees and host population in Bangladesh and elsewhere in the region are met, including by providing formal quality education for the Rohingya that follows the Burmese curriculum, ensuring access to livelihood opportunities, ensuring justice and accountability mechanism, and in arbitrary detention of refugees, refraining from refoulement of Rohingya back to Myanmar. For the Rohingya in Rakhine State, Myanmar, donors and the international community must provide cross-border aid into Rakhine State, ensuring humanitarian actors can operate freely and address the crisis facing Rohingya and other ethnic minorities, and pressing authorities to allow internally displaced people to return to their homes safely and without any restrictions. For all Rohingya who seek to return in safety and dignity to our homeland, countries of influence must support the Rohingya to achieve our goal of a voluntarily safe and dignified repatriation to our homes, Myanmar, and to facilitate the broad-based participation of Rohingya in political dialogue regarding our future in Myanmar. On behalf of the Rohingya community, I thank and appreciate all donor countries, all stakeholders, member states, UN agencies, host government for your generosity, for your continued support, solidarity, and attention. I call on the international community to use this conference as a first step towards the goal of a safe, sustainable returns and to continue directly engaging with us in finding a solution for us. I really hope you all implement these recommendations and take actions immediately until everyone is safe in Myanmar. Thank you.
I thank the Executive Director of Refugee Women for Peace and Justice.